First thing Monday morning, a student said, "We appreciate you being here, Mr. Peterson, but shouldn't you have taken today off?" What kind of question is that? I looked up from my attendance sheet, genuinely confused. Marcus, who usually burst through the door 30 seconds before the bell, was standing frozen by his desk. The entire classroom had gone eerily silent when I'd walked in. Kids who were usually comparing homework answers or scrolling through their phones suddenly stopped mid-motion. Everyone was stealing glances at me, but whenever I made eye contact, they'd quickly look away. Sarah, usually the first to answer everything, was slumped forward with her face hidden in her arms. Even the boys in the back row, who never stopped joking around, were dead serious. The whole room felt wrong. "I haven't missed a day in 5 years," I said, trying to lighten whatever strange mood had taken over my classroom. "Why would today be different?" Marcus shifted uncomfortably and cleared his throat. "Mr. P, I really think you should check your phone. Or maybe you should go to the main office. Like, right now." My heart started racing because something was seriously wrong. Whatever this was, my students were looking at me like I was about to get the worst news of my life. I reached for my phone in my jacket pocket but remembered I'd left it in my car after rushing in late from stopping for coffee. I'd overslept after staying up grading essays until 2 a.m. "Can someone please tell me what's going on?" I asked, hearing my voice crack slightly. The silence was deafening. Even Kevin, who never stopped talking, was staring at his desk. Finally, Ashley from the second row spoke up, her voice barely a whisper. "Mr. Peterson, did you not check the news this morning?" "No, I overslept. I barely made it here on time." My hands were starting to shake now. "What happened?" Ashley exchanged looks with Marcus, who shook his head violently, but she continued anyway. "Maybe you should call someone. Your family? Family. My parents." My mind immediately went to them. Mom's dementia had gotten so much worse over the past year. Dad had been her sole caregiver, refusing help, insisting he could manage. Last week when I visited, Mom didn't recognize me for the entire visit. She'd called me by my uncle's name, asked when her mother was coming to pick her up. Her mother who'd been dead for 30 years. Dad had looked so tired, so utterly defeated, aging 10 years in the span of 10 months. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. "Everyone just start reading chapter 12. I'll be right back." The hallway felt impossibly long as I jogged to the parking lot. My hands fumbled with my phone as I turned it on. The screen lit up with notifications. 17 missed calls from my brother David, 3 from my Aunt Linda, 5 from unknown numbers. Text messages flooded in. The most recent from David just said, "Call me now." I called him back, my fingers trembling so badly I could barely hit his contact. He answered before the first ring finished. "Jesus Christ, where have you been?" His voice was raw, like he'd been screaming or crying or both. "At school." "David, what's happening?" I asked, but he just kept talking. "Get to Mom and Dad's house right now, please." His voice cracked, and suddenly I couldn't breathe. I don't remember the drive. I just remember pulling onto their street and seeing the police cars. 3 of them, lights off, but still parked at angles like they'd arrived in a hurry. Yellow tape across the front door. Neighbors standing in clusters on their lawns. David caught me rushing toward the door. "Don't, they're not. It's a crime scene now." "Crime scene? What happened? Where are they?" "They left at sunrise." Mrs. Chen saw them walking toward Riverside Park. She said Mom was lucid, talking clearly, holding Dad's hand. My knees were buckling. "Where are they now?" "The train tracks. They chose the morning freight. Together." A detective emerged from the house carrying evidence bags. The notes were on the kitchen table. "Your mother wrote hers yesterday during what your father described as her last clear day." I read them through the plastic. Mom's elegant script. "I know what's coming. I've seen what this disease does. Yesterday, I remembered your faces, your names, your father's love. Today might be the last day I do. We choose this moment while I'm still me." Dad was on his letterhead from his retired law practice. 46 years ago, I promised to love her in sickness and health. I keep my promises. The 5:47 freight is never late. She was herself this morning, my Margaret, telling me about our first date. The engineer said they were holding hands, the detective said softly. Said they were facing each other, foreheads touching, like they were having a private conversation. He tried to stop, but it was at the trestle bridge, David whispered, their favorite spot, where Dad proposed.